Tonight certainly we could have done a lot of things better. Certainly shot ourselves in the foot in a lot of situations. We gave some big plays early. Found a way to get back into the game, but gave up a big 3rd and 20 third down conversion. I thought that was the turning point in the game. We battled, we fought, but obviously you can't rush for 39 yards and think that you're going to win a lot of football games. And so there's a lot of areas we got to get better in. It's the first game, and we got to find a way to make the corrections. And so we're back to the drawing board tomorrow, but that's what it's all about. We're going to keep that championship mindset, and we're not going to lose sight of what has to happen moving forward. We're going to own it, accept it, and keep pushing. So I'm proud of the guys. I'm proud of the way they battled, but certainly a little disappointed knowing that they could have done a little bit more.
Questions?
Coach, I know things didn't go, the way you wanted to tonight, but do you see a positive in that, the team sort of lost by being themselves as opposed to getting outplayed by Dallas?
Yeah, up until about 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, we was in the game. I felt like we had some momentum. We was making a comeback, after a slow start. But I felt like we, a couple plays, 2 or 3 plays, and we right back in the game. We got a legit chance at winning the game. And so from that standpoint, from Nick and the defense played great. Defense did a lot of good things, and so very proud of them. But the offense got to catch up for sure.
Israel started the game, and then Otto came in. Was that kind of by design, or was that something just kind of how the game was going?
Yeah, the plan was to try to get some momentum out of both of them. I feel like we got 2 good quarterbacks, and so chose to rat it out with Otto and Israel. He will be back in the fold. He will be back in the fold, getting the majority of the snaps, and just continue to learn. This process for him. But we got to get better up front. We can't. Whether it was Israel, Otto, you can't do too much rushing for 39 yards. We got to control the line of scrimmage and be able to run the football in order to win games. And so that's got to be the mindset moving forward. And so, we'll work hard this week to correct that, and we'll be right back at it tomorrow.
Coach, it didn't go the way you wanted, obviously, but having the first one out of the way, is it now easier to put that aside and now maybe get into a routine?
Yeah, I'm definitely happy to get the first one out of the way. I got a feel for it. I got a feel for the flow, what to look for, what to watch out for. Now I can go back and watch film and correct what we need to get better at. I look forward to that process. And I knew it was going to happen at some point. So I would much rather have won on the scoreboard tonight, but now we know where we got to get better, and now we got areas to focus on. And so that's what football is all about. It's about getting better each and every week. And the one thing I just told the guys is not where we start, is where we finish. And we got some great players in the locker room, and they got pride. And so I expect us to bounce back and be a lot better next week.
Like Otto seemed to give you a spark almost as soon as he came in. How would you evaluate his play this season?
I thought Otto played great. He's a veteran quarterback who understands the game. Certainly could have had more opportunity. I feel like if we'd had a more consistent run game, both quarterbacks would have had more success. And so, got to figure out, exactly what the situation was with Israel. But, we got 2 good quarterbacks that we can win with moving forward. And so, those guys continue to work hard and continue to compete.
When you look at the flashes that Otto showed in this game, the opportunities he had to find the end zone, minus the penalties that, opportunities that kind of got called back, does it seem like it's a little more of a battle at the QB position, or is it still his job to lose?
I still think it's his job to lose. He'll be back out there next week versus State. But Otto came in and did some great things, and hopefully Izzy was able to, vicariously learn from that. But yeah, man, we shot ourselves in the foot. Every time we had a big play, it was a penalty. that set us back. And so that's part of the discipline. That's part of what we're preaching. And we just got to get better at it. Those guys got to watch the film and they got to self-correct. And so we'll help them with that. But, we just can't beat ourselves, and that's what we did today.
Go ahead.
In the second quarter, you're 4th and 1 on your own 23 and you go for it. You gonna be that aggressive all the time?
No, that was a field thing. I felt like we needed some momentum. We needed a play where we could kind of set the tone. It was gutsy. It was gutsy, and I don't want to make a living going for it on 4th down. And trust me, I won't. Or I won't be here long. But I'll be calculated with that. I just felt like we needed a spark at the time, but I'm glad we got it, and kept the drive going, and it's gonna be a lot of situations where I'm gonna have to make split-second decisions, and so that's why I felt like today was really good, just for the experience standpoint. Just to get out there and get a feel for the game and the flow and how everything goes, and so I'm excited about picking things back up tomorrow and getting back out there.
You guys certainly brought the city out. I mean, over 19,000 on a Thursday night is pretty good. Just talk about the atmosphere and folks coming out to support you guys even on a weeknight, work night.
Yeah, it was great. We appreciate the support. Ultimately, we want to put winning product on the field. We want to give them something to cheer about. Defense played great, like I said, but everybody who watches football, there's really no excitement in defense, but the defense win championships, and so those guys are frowned upon, but they go out there, they try to create 3 and outs and try to put the opposition in the punting situation, and people want to see you running the football, throwing it all across the field, and we got to merge that together. I feel like we got a great defense, and those guys got proud, like I said, and they're a little distraught in the locker room. They're a little upset, but they got to let this one stand.
Other than the result, was tonight what you expected from the experience? How did it compare to the emotions and expectations you had coming into the game?
It didn't exceed my expectations. I thought it was going to be more that was going to be coming my way. I was in tune with what was going on with the offense. I was in tune with what was going on with the defense. I was anticipating certain calls, and I was able to, follow the flow of the game. But at the same time, it was good to get that first one out of the way. Now I feel like I can move forward as a head coach. I can teach, I can correct, and we'll be a lot better next week for sure.
When you look at the defense, you talked about it, how physical they were really throughout the game. There were several opportunities or several moments.
Nah, it felt natural. It felt natural. I don't know if it's because I paid attention to the rules, asked a lot of questions. Just wanted to feel natural when I was out there, and outside of the beginning of the game, having some jitters at the beginning of the game and not knowing what to expect. Once we kicked the ball off, everything settled down, and I felt like, like I said, I was able to follow the flow of the game, and I was just waiting for weird things to happen and never happened. We did have a situation where, a player got hurt, and, you got to be on the ground before the ball is spotted. Other than that, you lose a timeout. So we'll learn from that. I got to get back in the rule book and, understand what's happening, what's going on in real time. And so, I felt like I was just ready to anticipate everything that was happening. So there's a lot of room to grow for everybody. And so I feel good about where we are.
What do you hope to see from this defense next week? We've been talking about their performance all night. One takeaway, but it seems like there were several opportunities where they almost came away with it. Whether it was an interception, multiple times they got their hands on the ball. What do you hope to see? How do you hope to help see them build, for next week?
Yeah, we wanted to throw some things at them and, kind of force them into some situations where they did pass the ball. Khalif dropped the one interception. If he catch that, I think that changed the dynamic of the game. And so we was banking on getting 2 turnovers this game. That was a moment for us, and we didn't capitalize on it. And so I think those guys, like I said, I think that unit will continue to get better. I know our offense allowing to get better. But man, we probably averaged 2 yards a rush tonight, and I know that's not the standard. We can't win like that. And, you know, next week we gotta be a little more physical.
Coach mentioned next week, 6 o'clock, Virginia State here at Vick Price Stadium. We'll get with you about media availability this week. And thank y'all for coming. We appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Coach. Appreciate you a lot.
Appreciate it, Coach.